Well, hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. I hope I find you well. Today, building the chassis for the VX02 RS Pro kit. Now, I did an unboxing on this the other day. Just to recap, this kit wasn't on my radar. I wasn't buying this, but suddenly Model Sport did a sale and reduced this down to half price, and I couldn't resist it. So the whole kit has an RRP of $399. I paid $199 for it, so I couldn't resist it. I'm going to build it now on the channel. Now I'm going to do things before I start. Actually, I'm just going to apologise for my fingers. I've just noticed I've got paint all over them. I've been messing around in here all morning painting up another car body, and I've just noticed I've got paint all over my fingers and my nails, so apologies for that. Anyway, so I'm going to do this a little bit different to how I filmed these kits in the past. So when I've built these kits, I tend to film every step all the way through, end up with hours and hours and hours of footage, which takes 2 or 3 days to edit, and it's just becoming impossible to do. I just don't have the time to do, you know, 3 or 4 day edits. So what I'm going to do with this one is just film the key parts and the important parts of the build, and stop it and then come back to it once I've done another section, because otherwise you know, as I say, to take you through every step and then edit it all together, it's just such a long time, and I mean, these don't get many views anyway, so yeah, hopefully this will be a better format. We'll see how we go. So before I get into the book, what I did last night is I've covered over my chassis here with my vinyl wrap. So that, again, carbon fibre vinyl wrap. I'm only putting this over. Basically, this will just protect it, so if I get any scuffs or scratches, I can peel this off and replace it. So it really is just a protective layer onto the chassis. Now, this chassis is the hardened tub. It comes with the kit. Today's build, I'm not putting any hop-ups on this at all. I'm going to build it as a box. The reason being, I'm not actually totally sure, all of the bits, all of the hop-ups are included in this kit. So I'm going to build it and then work out what I need, and then do a separate video with hop-ups. You know, that once I know what I actually want to put on the car. So today, just building it as per the kit, as per the box. Nothing extra special going on there, but let's see how we go. So with that all said, let's get into the book and part number 1. So part number 1, we've got some various bits and the suspension stays to go on, and the tie rods to make, and the steering arm. So let me complete right up to the point of the steering, and then I'll come back and show you where I've got to. Well, as I said, we've gone right the way through to number 5. So suspension towers, they're screwed on. Now, this was a bit of a pain putting these screws in up inside the gearbox housing. You do have to put some adhesive on there. So just at the bottom here, it's a synthetic rubber cement needs to go on those, and then the other screws actually need a thread lock on them. So underneath here, you can't see it now, but there's some anodized aluminium posts on roller bearings. You've got 1, 2, let me get this right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roller bearings in the steering. It feels almost frictionless, really, really good. The turnbuckles are in here. You've got an adjuster for the turnbuckles, as you can see, so you can adjust them when they're on the car. The low friction ends there, the open ends for the ball joints. We've got anodized servo mounts that are in, and yeah, ready to move on to the next part. So next bit is the gearbox. I say gearbox, I keep calling it a gearbox. Is a differential. This is an oil-filled differential on this. Not built one of these before, so quite looking forward to giving this a go. So I'm going to get the parts around me, and what I'll do is I'll build one of these, see how it goes. Then once I know how to do it, then I'll build the second one on camera. Well, that's the differential built, but unfortunately that turned out to be a lot more painful than it should have been. So biggest mistake that I made is not to run screws into the housing before trying to tighten them up, so effectively tapping a thread. So I'm actually going to build the second differential now while I've got all the bits in front of me. A little bit out of sequence to the instructions, and I'm going to build this one on camera. So let's cut the spur gear out. So I'm just checking that this is another 39 tooth, so I'm doing 39 on the front and rear on this. Now, in the unboxing video, I did point out that there is, oh, that's the pinion gear, there is a second 40 tooth So you can actually run a 39 and a 40, or a 40 and a 39, or two 39s. I'm actually building with two 39 teeth gears. It does actually come with that as an option. And as I say, the biggest mistake I made wasn't to not self-tap out screw holes, and as a result it's really hard when you're trying to torque these down because they're so small and the part is full of nylon. Well, the part is full of glass, sorry. Might even be a nylon in here, but it's a very, very stiff plastic. And you can see as I'm winding this in, it is a very, very hard to do. And yeah, it's so easy to just strip out the little head there on the screw before you've wound it down tight. So what I'm going to do with this one is just go around each of the holes and actually cut a thread before I fill it with oil, and yeah, make life difficult for myself. Right, let's try that again on the next hole round. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I don't know why I didn't do this on the previous one. So cutting a thread, it's always 2 in, 1 back, 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 2 in, 1 back. My hands a little rest there. 2 in. I'm going to go 2.5 in, otherwise I'm going to be here all night. 4 in, 1 back. This is much better. I don't know why I didn't do this on the first screw. Trying to wind it all the way in. It's never going to cut a thread, is it? Okay, so we take this and put a bearing on. Okay, drive shaft goes through, and a gasket. Let's get these gaskets out. And a blue gasket goes in, then a large washer. Okay, and then one of these shims. You can see here, very tiny shims. Just lift that one round. Okay, there's a few of that there. Let's pick one of those up. And that goes, oh, I picked the wrong shim, sorry, that's the wrong shim. It's the larger size I want. There. There's one there. I'll come to the smaller ones in a moment. Pick the wrong ones up. Just trying to pick this up off the tub. That goes on there. Okay. Then a pin. There it is. That goes through. I'm just checking the camera's rolling. Okay, and that, struggling to get that through the hole. Let's do that around this way. Need to just rotate that around. It needs to go in square, that's the thing. It won't go in at if it's not square. And we get one of our cogs to go on the end here. Right, that's that assembly built, all but the gasket. So just checking there's one gasket here. Doesn't matter which way round this fits. You'll just push that in and make sure it's seated. So pop that to one side, and then we assemble the other side, which is pretty much the same. On goes the bearing, in goes the drive shaft. Then we got the blue gasket. Gets a bit fiddly because it's down inside the depths of the differential. So that one goes on in a large washer. Again, we can push this down like that. Larger shim. Oh, didn't get that on there. There it goes. That's the shim in place. Then we've got the pin to go through. Now with the pin, what you do is you need to go in at, so if that's the cross where the differential sits, you go in at 45 degrees, like that. And this little slot down the side here gives enough room for the pin to go through square. There we go, like that. You see in there, that's just sitting inside. And now we've got to get the other cog. And then that drops down inside, sits on there. Right, now we need to assemble the small cogs for the differential. So the drive cog, first of all, just take the cogs off of there, and two on here. And then these mount onto the cruciform. And then behind each one of these cogs goes one of the small shims that I got out a moment ago. One there. God, they're difficult to get on. One there. One there. And one more out the packet. Now it does say in the instructions to hold these on with oil, and I can see why now. They've all fallen off. That's them all mounted. I'll just knock the cog out of there. Not doing too well here. Right, let's drop that into there. Right, I'm just going to check all those shims are in the right place. Yep, that all looks good. So now I can fill it up with diff oil. So I'm going to fill it right till it's covering the centre cruciform. Give that a minute or two just to work its way down. I think that's plenty. Right, now we'll put the lid on, and I can now do the 4 screws up, which is where I got to last time, and where I had all the problems, because yeah, basically where I hadn't cut the thread, the moment you get these screws in, when they get to the deepest part of the thread, it's just impossible to do them up. And ended up stripping a couple of them and then having to get them out with a pair of pliers, and oh dear, disaster. But now, hopefully, I should be able to just wind these in with a nice clean thread there. Now you see that I am actually using the proper Tamiya tool for this. This is actually my son's, and I think a lot of the problems I had, I was trying to do them with the Allen key that came with the kit. Now, in theory, you should be able to do it with the Allen key, but this certainly makes the job a lot easier. I can see it being very, very troublesome with the Allen key. Well, they certainly were a lot harder than I expected. I mean, the assembly was pretty straightforward, but getting those screws in, really difficult. Yeah, I didn't enjoy that a lot. Anyway, right, we move on. So I'm going to carry on and set up the front arms all the way through, and I'll come back just before I drop the differential into the housing. So I've assembled the wishbones onto the lower part of the gearbox, or the diff housing, sorry. Now there's some little parts that you put on here. Let me just show you in the instructions. So here, there's these little balls go on either end, and then it gets clamped in place. Now these are the blocks you can change around this way. These two blocks, these blocks here, these can be changed to change your toe in. I've just set them as per the kit at the moment, but extremely low friction. There's no friction in this at all. That's the one thing I have noticed with this kit. You know, it really is well done. So dropped in the half shaft just in here with its two bearings, and just slot that in from underneath, and I've dropped the diff housing in, put a little bit of ceramic grease on the two cogs. So I'm just about ready to mount this rear section into the car, like so. So now turn it over, and I'm going to do the screws up. So come back to me in a moment once I've moved on to the next part, and we'll see what we get to. Well, I've just come back to this these screws that I've been doing up. So you've got 4 at the top here, nice and easy, but then there's 2 tucked down the back here, and although you can just about get a screwdriver to it through the steering, it's all completely blind. I can't tell if they're down or not. Yeah, not a great design, to be perfectly fair. Would have been much better for those to come up from underneath, but it's going to be a real problem if you need to service anything in the gearbox. To get in there, it's going to be a big problem, I think. But there you go. So yeah, these 2 little screws in here, there's got to be a better way of doing that. I may look up to see if somebody solved the problem. You know, a lot of these things, when you find something like this, you go and have a look online, and somebody sells a slightly different fixing or something that would allow you to get the screwdriver in there. You know, I'm using this at the moment, but I mean, even with a proper screwdriver, it's really difficult to get in there and actually see what you're doing. So yeah, here's what it is. Okay, same story. We'll put together these are the rear arms, and assemble the rear differential. Right, well, I forgot to mention when I did the front differential. So when you select your gearing for the differential, if you use a 39 tooth differential gear, you need to make sure that the little planet gear that goes on the side, that's also says 39 on the side. There is a little marking just on the back there that says 39, and you need to make sure that if you do switch to the 40, you can't use the 39 one of these. Obviously the pitch of the teeth is very slightly different. So I'll drop that in and just add some grease onto the gearing. Now I just want to make sure that I get this around the right way. Does it go the same way as the rear? Yes, that way. Okay, just going to add a little bit more grease in here because I can. Right, there we go, plenty on there. Right, and then I've just got to drop the housing back on the top again. I'm just going to clean these up. I've left some of the sprue on here. I hate it when I do kits and I've got to take the little bits of sprue off the side. There we go. Right, so that drops in there. We'll turn this over and do the screws up on this end, and obviously those 2 screws, now they're not under the steering, you can actually get to them quite easily. Right, well, I'm going to assemble this bit on camera. Now I do intend on replacing this whole spur gear with the slipper clutch kit for this car. I did put a slipper clutch in my BBX, and I thought that made a big difference. So yeah, I think this could be another candidate for the slipper clutch. Let me just do these screws up. think the you know, given all the anodised parts in here, this bit's a bit naff. Just with a part off the spur, sorry, off the sprue screwed onto the spur. That'd be nice if that was a nice bit of aluminium in the middle there, but there you go. Running a, I think it was a 72 spur gear, this one. As I say, I'm not changing any of the ratios on this yet. I'm just going to set it up as per the kit, and we'll see how we go. Right, so let's have a look at our assembly. So we've got a large bearing, sits on there like so. Then in comes the, let's make sure I get this around the right way. Right, the half shaft goes in like that. Okay, then the spur gear. Okay, and another bearing. Where does that bearing sit? Ah, I see. So this goes onto there. The bearing sits on this cup. Right, let's make sure I get this on properly. It's gone slightly crooked. Right, that goes on there. Then this sits in here. Then there's a pin that goes through to hold it all together. Let me get that pin. Right, I've just noticed that there are two different pins needed. So this is an MB10. Right, I have done it wrong. So this short stubby one goes in there. That's a bit better because now the spur gear is going to fit better. Like that. Oh yeah, much better. Then this goes onto here, and then this pin will go through the axle at this end. Okay, and then we need the little spring washer that goes over the top to hold in place. This is to attach the axle ring, so I think you just literally drive this over the top till it hooks in. Oh, nearly. There we go. Wow, what a pain. There you go, it's in. Right, drive shafts. So let's bring this into shot. Now, got these two lovely TRF drive shafts. Shame they don't have Tamiya stamped on them. Some of the ones I've had before have had that Tamiya marked in them. So this is the steering end, so let's just turn this round like so. Make sure I get this round the right way. So this drops in here like that. But to get this in, we need to mount the drive shafts at the same time. So from that end and that end, like that. There we go. Pinion gear is in. Spur gear, sorry, is in. Right, turning over the page. Actually, I'm going to leave the camera just rolling for a moment while I grab my motor. So the motor for this kit is going to be a dirt tuned motor, which is this one here. Comes with a little dust cover to put over it. I'll put that to one side for now. There we go, that's the motor that's going in. Nice little powerful unit. And we can get this mounted onto the anodised motor mount, which is this one here. And yeah, that's going to look the part when it's in the car, isn't it? So just to point out that the kit does actually come with, let me just check, it's 26 tooth pinion, but it's a fluorine coated pinion, so yeah, another upgrade. So we've got this lovely machined aluminium part on here, which I have fitted round the wrong way. Oh no, I haven't. It is round the correct way. I thought I'd put it round the wrong way for a minute there. And let's just get the pinion gear on. Tighten that down. I'll come back and line all this up in a moment. And then this is going to drop into the chassis and pick up on those two screws there. Look at that. Perfect. Right, I'll do these two up first. And then we can come back and make sure the gearing's correct. First one done, and the other one these. That's all done. Okay, let's have a look at the motor position and the pinion gear. So, first things I'm going to do is move the gear in so it's aligned. And then I think I want to move the motor just a fraction closer. So let's do that. Bottom one up. I can see it. Doesn't look too bad actually. I will readjust that pinion alignment again because it's moved. Now I've done the screws up, it's very slightly out. Right, that's the motor and the pinion in. And we've got a motor cover to be fitted, which is on this screw. Bring that over and cut that off. Right, let's have a quick look at that. Feels okay. Right, drive shafts are in, motors in, differentials are in. Well, it's a couple of days on and I've just come back to it. So, off camera last night, just as I was wrapping up, I put together the two front upper arms. I don't think I did these on camera, but I've got them to exactly the right length, which is 15.8mm, hoping that that's on the screen. You can see they're 15.8mm, I've measured them. And yeah, got the turnbuckle in the middle, so there's a bit of thread showing at each end. So those are ready to go onto the car. And forgetting where I got to last night, we're now fitting the really lovely looking carbon fibre damper uprights. So there's a little bit of assembly to do here. Then the arms pop on there, and yeah, then they're fitted onto the chassis here, and then the bumper adds on underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and just complete those two stages, and then come back in a moment to move on to the rear. Just a couple of points of note that I've just spotted on here. So setting the balls for the suspension and the upper arms to the location shown on the diagram here. So this one from the bottom, this one 2 from the bottom, and then on this side, when we put the knuckles onto the ball joints, need to make sure that we push them on with the O facing the ball. Otherwise they're going to be under too much compression to get on there, and they'll be loose afterwards. So making sure those are around the right way, and that's just shown in the diagram there. Well, that's the rear end assembled, and oh sorry, the front end are assembled, and you can see the front bumper put on there, and my two arms, and yeah, the suspension plate in. And now looks like it's a repeat of the process for the other side. So here are the other two steering arms ready to go on that I've already made up. These are slightly longer, 16.2mm. And one thing I did note that I didn't mention before is the turnbuckles, making sure that the screw thread is always to the left hand side. Obviously, so when you turn them both counterclockwise, they both extend because they've got a reverse thread on them. So just a little point there to make sure that you do put them around the same way. And on the rear ones, actually, the screw you can see there is on the right hand side. So turning over the page, I can now assemble the rear upright. Okay, so that's the rear end assembled. So you can see I've put the skid plate on underneath and the arms are in. Got them around the right way, so if we look down on the car, you can see the turnbuckles on this end. Sorry, I'm just making sure I got it round. Suddenly I thought I'd got it round the wrong way. So you can see the nut on this side is pointing to the right, I've actually got it round the wrong way for the camera. And then at this end, pointing to the right and to the right again, because it's opposite radar end on the car. So all the turnbuckles are on the same side of the car basically, which is correct for the instructions. Right, on to the front uprights. So there's a whole assembly here, and we've got caster blocks to set up. I'll do these off camera, but this is the point that I just want to have a moan about all the plastic bags. So far this kit, I'm just going to bring this in, it's going everywhere. This is the plastic bags and waste that I've created from this kit so far. You know, there's got to be a better way of doing this. I understand why they do it, because they want to keep the parts nice for us at the other end, but there has to be a better way of packaging these kits. But yeah, I have that moan every time I build one of these. It's my only major complaint with Tamiya, is everything is always in a plastic bag. But yeah, anyway, let me get on and I'll put these together, and I'll come back just before we fit them on the car. Well, it's not absolutely clear whether I use this blue spacer or this black spacer. So what I'm going to do for now, I do believe I've got it correct, because the blue one is by 3mm. I'm just checking again, 5.5 by 3, whereas the black one I think is 5.5, yeah, by 3 by 2.5. So I believe I've got it round the correct way. So that does look right. So, but anyway, I might have to go back and change those in a little bit. Right, drive shafts do have to be made in pairs. There is a order to these, and you can see here the circlet, making sure that they have the correct orientation. So I'm going to build these up on here. So we put one of these little drives or little spindles through first, and then the pin goes through. And that just slots all the way through. Hopefully that'll line up. Here we go. And then we've got a little circlip, I say circlip, a little spring clip to go around the outside. And the orientation, as I say, is quite important for this. So this one on this side goes round that way, and we'll just lever that onto the component. I say we'll just lever it, but as always, not as easy as it seems. Let's see what I'm doing with these. That's better. Right, that's my drive shafts made. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble the front uprights, and I'll come back in a moment once I've got all the bearings in. I've got these assembled. Well, quite a fascinating hub assembly. Not really sure how it's going to work yet. So essentially I've taken the drive shaft, put it through the hub with a bearing, and then this second piece, the caster block, is then screwed onto the rear and is allowed to pivot. So that gives me the turning circle round left to right here. But yeah, not totally sure how the caster itself works yet. Obviously caster being that movement of the joint, so basically moving the upper and lower wishbone forward and aft. But yeah, I'm going to assemble it onto the car and yeah, see how it all fits together. Hopefully it'll become clear. Right, so put a little bit of grease on the dog bone at this end. Now it's really not totally clear how these go together, but we'll see how we go. I don't know how the caster blocks work yet. So that goes into the drive coupling, and this pin pushes in on the lower shaft here. If I can get it at the right angle to actually see it. Right, like that. That pin goes through there, right the way through. Now I just want to find out why that doesn't come out the other end. Yes, the hole's too small at the other end for it to slide all the way through, so that holds that in there. The drive coupling goes onto here, and then this top mount comes down and clips onto the top ball joint there. Oh, cool. So it clips on. There it goes. Okay, that's that side in. Let's do the other side. The ball joints are on the wrong side. Okay, let's change those round. Right, well that's the front end together. Steering's all connected up. You can see the tie rods on the top here, linking up the suspension, and yeah, quite a hard caster on there with the top knuckles twisted backwards. So yeah, I'll have to look at the back of the manual at the end to see how you adjust those, but all gone together there. Now I had put the ball joints, some of you may have spotted it, but I put the ball joints, all four of them, on the one side of the upright. I've done the same on the rear, which I think is wrong, so I'm going to switch these over in a moment, make sure that they're around the right way, and yeah, no harm done. It's just a bit of an error on my part, so I'm just going to go back a couple of steps, change this round, and yeah, you can see it here. Should have two ball joints on one side and two on the other, and I've got all four on one side, so I'll change that over. And yeah, I'm going to well, I say reassemble, I'm going to assemble the rear of the car. Well, it's a couple of evenings further on now that finally got back in the workshop. Now, when I wrapped up a couple of days ago, finished off the rear end, so basically put the you know, the assemblies that we built up onto the car. So the uprights went on, connected the top links. I did have to change around the ball joints on the suspension. I had put them around the wrong way, but no harm done there. And then just to mount the uprights in, on the bottom here there's a pin that pushes in, and then this little screw sits on there to hold it in place. I've got a broken nail. And yeah, went together quite easily, quite straightforward, no problems at all. And final thing is, I put in the battery stay onto there. So getting on towards the home run now, and next step is to put the suspension together. So I'm going to assemble a couple of these off camera, and I'll come back and do one on camera, just for completeness. Okay, as you can see at the top there, we're on to screw bag D, and in here are all of the suspension components. And yeah, before I start, I'm just going to show you the machining on these. I think these are wonderful. I did build a set of these from my TT02, and yeah, they look the part, but also their performance. You know, when I trialled them on the TT02, I was really surprised how good they were. Yeah, very good indeed. Right, let's build one of these anyway. So I'm going to take off all of the parts on here, the top and the adjuster. First thing we need to do is get one of the larger O-rings. Just take this all the way off, right. So in here, take one of these larger O-rings. Probably should have undone it from the top, not put a knife near this, in case I cut through one of the O-rings. That would have been a disaster. Now this one goes up inside the adjusting screw for ride height. So that goes in there like so, and then when this gets mounted back on, what it does is it forms a sort of a high friction turn on the screw head now, which means this isn't going to shake while the car's in motion. It won't shake to a different height. It kind of it's almost like a locking nut, if you like, with that little rubber grommet inside. Quite stiff to turn. Well, rather annoyingly, the storage on my camera just filled up, and it didn't bleep to tell me that it had stopped recording. So I'm just going to go back over. So what I've done is put the O-ring inside the adjuster here, and now this has got quite a high friction, so there's quite a lot of force required to turn this, which means once you set this, it's not going to shake whilst the car is in motion, and readjust the suspension. Now I did just show how to fit the little piston onto the shaft, so I'm going to do that again. So basically these little pistons, you can see they've got 3 holes in them to allow the oil through, and they need to be mounted onto the shaft that goes through the centre of the piston, and that's done with a couple of circlips. And I always have a lot of difficulty putting these on, so let's try and do one on camera, and then I'll do the rest, or the other 2, because I've already done one. Yeah, just off camera. So you just put them in, and there should be a little click. Nearly. Let's try again. Is that gone? No. There it goes. So once that's in, this piston goes on there, and then another one on the other side, just to lock it in place. And through there. Okay. Now just bring the pliers in. I'll try and do it to one side so you can see. Nope. Try again. Try from the side. There it goes. Right, so I'm going to just do the other 2 off camera, and then I'll come back and finish building this shock. Right, so all the pistons made up, so I'm not going to lose any parts now. So let's take our shock housing, which is here, and then we need to put in the base of it the MD5, which is this first grommet here. The plastic grommet goes in. Then we've got a clear rubber grommet, which are far too easy to lose, talking from experience. That goes in. Then our final capping piece, which is this one here, and that has a specific way to go round, and then we close off the shock like so. Then with the oil, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of oil onto the rubber seal, the tiniest bit, like that, and that should allow the piston to move through freely. There we go. Now that that's done, I can fill up the shock absorber. But before I do that, I'm just going to go and get a little bit of tissue paper to catch any drips before I get the oil everywhere. Right, so I've got a bit of tissue here just to catch any drips. So let's just fill the shock up, and I'm being careful with trying not to get air into the oil. And then I go and put a load of air in. Wasn't particularly clever. Right, so now that's to the top. I'm just going to move the piston up and down inside. You see the bubbles sort of coming to the surface. Just try and get the worst of them out of the oil before I close it up. There we go. Then there's a little rubber diaphragm that goes in, which will be this component, and also the closing part to the shock. So I'll just slide that diaphragm on. Got two of them there, two stuck together. Right, pop that in, and then this goes through and then winds down on the top like so, and that's the shock assembled. Just make sure that's nice and tight. Perfect. Okay, well, I've obviously got to fit the, well, I can do that now. So I need to fit the number one onto the base like so, and I'm just going to roll that onto the spindle. Now, when you put pliers, if you're going to put pliers onto the spindle shaft, make sure you've got something round them. I'm sure you all know this, otherwise you will scratch it. And obviously don't grip it too tight. And just do this up gently without scoring the shaft in any way. That'll do. Beautiful. Okay, and actually I'm going to finish this shot completely, and just to put the oil on, we've got a V2 number 4, so I'll just make sure I get the correct part here, which is this one, and one of our springs, and the spring fits onto the damper, and then this mounts onto here for the spring seat. And there we go, damper together. So I'm going to go ahead and build the other damper assemblies, and then we'll come back and fit them all to the car. Plus the dampers all together, and they can go straight on the car. So the only thing to be careful of with these is that these do push on one way round. There is a lead-in on these. Now if you can't see it, I can see that there's a lead-in on this side but not on that side. If you can't see it, take them back off, and the lead-in, if you look up inside the cap, it'll have a little dot on it that tells you which way round to do it. You can see on the base here, this has got the lead-in and there's a little dot on there, and it just makes them easier to push on. I say easier, but they're going to be extremely difficult in my experience to get on. But let's give it a go. So rear dampers first, and just make sure that I've got them around the right way, that way, like that. Yeah, I'm not going to get that on with my fingers. Let's just pop them on with the pliers. Try again. That's it. Base here, again making sure I get that round the right way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, fit the other dampers, and just finish off the last few bits. I don't actually have the servo yet, it hasn't arrived, so I might have to do that another evening, but I plan on getting the wheels on tonight. I'm not going to fit the box wheels, I'll come to that in a moment, but first of all let me get the dampers on and I'll come back and talk about the wheels. Okay, I just need to fit the wheels on. So there are some spacers to go in here, so spacers, so there should be some here which are A2s, so one of these goes in before the bearing, like that, and then the bearing pushes in. I'm hoping this is on camera. Right, that slides in there. Then we have a 1/2 mil shim that goes in. Oh sorry, I've got to put the little hex nut. So these hex nuts, they drop inside with the wheel, but basically held in with one of these pins. So the little pin goes through the hole in the shaft, which is there. I can't actually see it. There it is. So that goes through the hole in the shaft, and then this hex nut with its cruciform fits over the top. Now I'm actually going to replace these. First thing I'm going to do, you can get a clamp type, so basically exactly the same thing, but it just has got a nut in there. Do the nut up and it clamps it onto the axle, and yeah, makes it really you know, stops any play, let's say, and improves things greatly. So that'll probably be the first thing that I upgrade on this. And actually the shim, I'm going to put the shim in here first because it's sort of rotating around on the hub, which is really annoying. There we go. And then we've got some TRF wheel nuts to go on. These anodised blue wheel nuts, and yeah, mount those on, and that's the wheels. So I did say I was going to put another set of wheels on here. I'll save that for the next video when I put the body on here. I'm just going to put the ones that came with the kit on tonight, and then the final steps for me is just to add in the battery corners, sort of the muck deflectors if you like. You can see I've put the steering arm on here, and yeah, then I'll come back and wrap this video up. Well, I finished the last few jobs off camera, so you can see that I've got in the corners here the 4 deflectors for the dirt and muck. They're all screwed in, and these hold the battery down the side here, so you can see if you want to get this out, it's just a case of sliding it through and then locking it back into the side. Now there is a couple of screws here that you can undo to adjust this bracket to hold the battery in more securely if you need to. I might do that once I've decided which battery is going to stay in here. Now I've added the servo in. This is an Injora servo. I've been talking about these on a couple of the videos I've done recently. So the spec on these is fantastic. For 20 quid, these servos 20 quid, 0.08 seconds the speed on them. They do seem very, very quick. Not sure they're as quick as they say, but for 20 quid they seem to be quite a good, nice servo, and they're also one of the low profile servos as well. I've actually nicked the receiver out of this to put in another car at the moment, so yeah, I do need to plug that back in the receiver. See, I've got the speed controller in here, so this is a 1060 Hobbywing speed controller, so I can run my LiPo battery in here. And yeah, when I put the receiver back in, this should all be running. Suspension wise, absolutely superb. I mean, I love it. You know, I love these TRF units, so good. Put the body uprights on, and you can see the stabilizer bars on there, and also the front bumper, and that's about it really. The kit is complete. So with that, I think best thing to do is go and give it a little run. what a fun little car. I really enjoyed running that around the park. Does need a little bit of dialing in. It's a little bit all over the place at the moment, but hopefully with you know, a little few adjustments on the suspension and things, hopefully we'll get it running a little bit better and cornering a bit better. But I've got a lot of hop-ups that I want to put in here, so yeah, lots of upgrades, and that's for a future video. They're all here, or some of them are here. They'll just come in. So plans are, well, first of all, fix some of the problems. So you can see here the shaft in the middle here is moving back and forth because I didn't put the little bushes in. There should be a little packing spacer that goes in there. I didn't put those in, so those need to be updated. As I say, dialing it in, tuning it up. Plan on putting a differential in the middle and locking out the front diff. Hopefully that'll get it running a little bit better. And then, you know, I've got all kinds of little hop-ups to go on here, like the base of the suspensions there, and a set of double cardigan joints to go on the front end, and yeah, many other bits. So yeah, join me next time as we put some of the hop-ups on this car. Anyway, hopefully the build was of interest. As I say, these were on special in Model Sport. Don't know if they've still got them actually, but paid just over 200 quid for this. And yeah, I think actually, you know, considering all the hop-ups that are already in the kit, yeah, quite good value, I think. And yeah, if they've still got them there, might be worth having a look. Not overly impressed with the way it went together. As I said before, you know, to get to some of the screws up inside the gearbox is a little bit funny. If you want to make adjustments, I'm not sure how easy this will be to run, but as a fun car with a lot of hop-ups in it, not a bad kit at all. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and why not check out the channel, lots on there, and if you can subscribe, you'd be doing me a really big favour. And with that, we'll wrap this one up, and I'll just say thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.